Hello. We're thinking about concise writing again today, and I want to emphasize that concise writing in and of itself is not necessarily a goal that you need to buy into or should buy into. Sometimes there are very good reasons not to be concise. I think maybe in some disciplines people would argue against that idea. Some disciplines, I think, probably feel like concise writing is most important all the time. But, anyways, in some disciplines, it's okay not to have concision as your primary objective. Um, and I would also want to remind you that concise writing or looking for ways to increase conciseness in your writing should happen towards the end of the writing process rather than at the beginning. So it's not until you figure out what you want to say that you can then think about how you're going to say it. That said, it is important to think about the advantages of concise writing because it can clarify your ideas and communicate them very clearly to readers so that they don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what you mean. One of the strategies we're going to think about today, there are many strategies for concise writing. One of them is something that we call, that is called prepositional phrases. And as with all that you're learning in this class or thinking about in terms of writing, there's no hard and fast rule, and you want to kind of qualify everything. So it's not, I want to make sure I emphasize prepositional phrases are fine. They're important elements of the English language, and you do want to make use of prepositional phrases at times. That said, sometimes prepositional phrases are moments where you can increase clarity and reduce clutter in sentences. So the way that I learned prepositions in elementary school and grade school was a mountain. A teacher told me that if you think about a mountain, here's our mountain, that any way of going to the mountain or under the mountain or through the mountain or flying over the mountain, being on the mountain, being in the mountain, those are all prepositions. There are probably other kinds of catchy ways of learning prepositions. There are a lot of prepositions. We're offering you links to see how many there are, but on the watch list in particular for ways that you can increase conciseness in your writing with prepositions on the watch list for our purposes today, you want to think about maybe this set of prepositions: in, of, about, over, and to. And again, and unless the to is part of an infinitive construction of a verb, but these prepositions often can be moments where you can reduce clutter and make your writing more concise. However, I want to say again, there's nothing wrong with these words. They're good words, and so go ahead and use them sometimes. Just sometimes you want to think about the choices that you're making. Here's an example, and I will show you the prepositional phrase and then ask you to consider a way to revise it. So, the idea of the student was good. And here is our prepositional phrase. And I know this might be hard because I'm not even showing you how to do it, but I'm just going to ask you right now, go ahead and on your own try to see how you would revise this sentence to eliminate that prepositional phrase and make the sentence more concise. Welcome back. Here's the way that I would revise this sentence. Instead of saying the idea of the student, I would take that out, add a possessive there, and move this to before the idea. So it would become the student's idea was good. Okay, and in that case, I would suggest that there's really not much of a reason in this sentence, it seems, that a person would prefer to use a prepositional phrase rather than this more concise version. I think this gets the point across more clearly. That's not always going to be the case, but in this case, I think it is. Here's another example. I'm going to read this, and this one is more complicated. It comes from our Duke University writing studio, and it's a tough one, so I'll warn you in advance that it's kind of hard to figure out your way through it, but it's a good illustration, a great illustration, in fact, of why prepositional phrases can be confusing for readers. The cause of our school's failure at teaching basic skills is not understanding the influence of cultural background on learning. So let's take a look. I'll identify with you some of the prepositional phrases, and then I'll ask you to take a try at revising it. So here's the cause of our schools failure at teaching. I'm fairly certain that at is a preposition. Is not understanding the influence of cultural background on learning. So we have 4 prepositional phrases, and in addition, we have a construction of the verb to be, which is something we talk about in the video, enhancing sentence style. That also, I suggest, is in this case maybe causing a little bit of confusion in the sentence. So go ahead and take a few minutes, I think it'll take you a few minutes, to try to work your way through this sentence and think about how you can figure out what this sentence is trying to communicate and how it could be communicated in a more concise, effective way. Welcome back. I hope that was a fun challenge for you rather than a frustrating one. Here's the revision as our Duke University Writing Studio has done it. See, that wasn't fair because I didn't even have to try to revise it on my own, right? I knew the answer already. Okay, what they did is they wrote this: our schools have failed to teach basic skills because educators do not understand how cultural backgrounds influence learning. And I think there is not one prepositional phrase here. This is an infinitive of the verb, right? So it's not a prepositional phrase. And they've taken out the cause of, and instead of the is, they've changed that to understand, right, which is a more powerful verb. And they've made, instead of the influence of cultural background, they've turned that into a verb to how cultural backgrounds influence learning. So I think that's a really powerful version of the same sentence. Let's look at one more example to continue illustrating the way that prepositional phrases might be revised. A revision of the program will result in increases in our efficiency in the servicing of our customers. Okay, so prepositional phrases of the program will result in increases in our efficiency in the servicing of our customers. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 prepositional phrases. Please take a minute and think about each of these 6 prepositional phrases and see which ones, if any, or all, that you'd like to revise, and go ahead and try to revise the sentence to eliminate or reduce prepositional phrases. Welcome back. Here is the Duke University Writing Studio's revision of the sentence. If we revise the program, we can serve our customers more efficiently. Okay, and what they have done very successfully is, again, in this sentence, there's not one prepositional phrase anymore, and they've added an awesome verb. We can serve our customers more efficiently. And frankly, I don't think this sentence sounds any simpler, right? It's still an important concept that is being communicated, but it has lost that kind of, like, prepositional phrases sometimes are affiliated with writers trying to sound really official or pad their language and kind of tries to sound more sophisticated. You know, will result in our efficiency in the servicing of, right? That's like all, sounds like you're trying to be, sound important, when in fact what you should really rely on is that your sentence is important anyways, right? It's already important because you thought of it, and it's important for you to say it to readers. So have some more confidence in your actual sentences rather than relying on turns of phrase to convey the importance. Okay, so I hope that these illustrations have also indicated for you how time-consuming it is to really think about concise writing and polishing your sentences and this editing phase. That's why you want your process of writing to have as much time as possible, because you want to spend time on this part, but you don't want to spend time on it before you're ready to spend time on it. And as writers, we all have limited time, so you can't comb through your entire paper and find every single preposition. So maybe you just want to notice that, of is the preposition you often turn to the most, right? So maybe you just want to do a find and select for that and try to reduce your usage of that. Take small steps, and good luck with revising when needed, to revising prepositional phrases to make your writing more concise.